Andrew Smith, Sand Dune Adventures. Now that's really exciting, but before we go down that path, I'm really excited to have found a product that actually has stemmed out of an Aboriginal Land Council, okay, and actually the Indigenous peoples of Australia, if you like, and the people involved with your Land Council, actually encouraging and training the Indigenous peoples and the young people particularly to get involved in tourism, get involved in customer care, produce a product that the customers want. Because, you know, let's face it, in the past there have been a lot of products produced in terms of the Aboriginal space that really nobody wanted, and they failed quite often. Yeah. But it seems to me, you and the people that are involved in this product are pretty smart, and you've come up with something that's really exciting. So tell me a bit about the Land Council and your work in terms of generating enterprises, and then we'll talk about Sand Dune Adventures.
Right, okay. Well, we make up one of the 119 land councils across New South Wales, and our role is to protect, promote and foster the best interests of Aboriginal people. Yeah. We are constituted under a thing called the Aboriginal Land Rights Act, which is only state legislation, and that allows us to receive a small grant of $130,000 a year from the New South Wales Aboriginal Land Council within which to operate all of our services and try to develop and provide opportunities. Obviously that's not enough. When you $130,000 covers a CEO and admin in the compulsory audit, and there are a number of other compliances that the legislation imposes upon us. In fact, we're probably the highest legislated organisation anywhere in the world. It's massive. I think identifying that, the Land Rights Act gives us the opportunity to claim vacant Crown land, and in doing so we are now the largest private landholders in the Port Stephens region. And Port Stephens is renowned for its tourism, absolutely. So we undertook an assessment of our land asset, and we identified best use. So we categorised it, and we looked at those lands that are ideal for opportunities in housing and education, employment and building, construction industries, etc. Other lands that are at the other end of the scale that are biodiversity, carbon offset credits, and pretty much locked up for environment and protection of the ecosystems. In amongst all that process though, we have identified a number of different enterprises that we believe we could be quite successful at, and with the support of the community and support of the Land Council board, we invested what small money we had, what little capital we had, into acquiring a couple of quad bikes to commence what is now Sand Dune Adventures. We've been running for 4.5 years.
Wow.
And ideally the idea behind Sand Dune Adventures is that we own a very large portion of private freehold land within the largest coastal sand dunes in the southern hemisphere, and there are a number of Warramai sites, occupational evidence of the Warramai people having lived in those lands for many thousands of years. We wanted to provide an awareness and create an understanding of the richness and the beauty of that landscape, and the best way to do that was to get out there on quad bikes. So we masqueraded as quad
You've got the exciting quad bike side of things, which attracts the people and the
well, that's what it was. And then we go, hey guys, by the way, while we're out here, how about, and a lot of people walk away going, wow, that Aboriginal component, the history component was fantastic. Riding bikes is great, but to ride bikes and receive that sort of background history is just fantastic, and hence Sand Dune Adventures. And I think we were probably a little naive about how big it might get. In 4.5 years we've gone to leaps and bounds.
I bet you have,
in saying that though, IBA, Indigenous Businesses Australia, ran a number of different funding opportunities which gave us we entered into a mentoring program which assisted us in ticking all of the boxes required for tourism. We are now members of the Indigenous Tourism Champions program. We're ATEC members, the Australian Tourism Exchange mob that are here, corporation that are here. We're members of that, and I think we're a little bit naive when I say that, in a sense we can buy some bikes, put a sign out on the road and people will come, but I mean ATEC, the ATE itself exposes us to, this is our first ATE.
And how's it gone from that perspective?
Oh, it's going really well. I think though we're not naive to think that we're just going to have busloads of Chinese people coming along tomorrow. It'll be small steps, dribs and drabs, and I think one day someone's going to go, wow, this is the new kids on the block, this is the best thing since sliced bread, and they'll take a big bite of the cherry and we'll see them coming in droves.
Absolutely.
But the development of Sand Dune Adventures, it's been an interesting journey. We've trained local Aboriginal owned and operated.
Owner-operators, youngsters.
We've trained over 25 to 30 Aboriginal local people in our business, so we have a whole series of people that can be Aboriginal tour guides, they can ride the quad bikes, they know the local history, we have business administration and marketing, all of the things required to run a successful business.
One of the early things with Aboriginal businesses was about, reliability and turning up and so on and so on.
Well,
how have you trained them in that?
That's the hardest thing. The Indigenous Tourism Champions program was really about the Aboriginal experience. I mean, the reality is there are a lot of people running Aboriginal tourist experiences, Shake a Leg, Didgeridoo, all of those things, and they're wonderful and rich in their presentation. But going from the booking to the confirmation to the payment to turning up and they're actually there ready to go was that grey space. And so being a tourism champion gives our clients the confidence in knowing that if they book us through to March 2016, we will be there. And it's taken a lot of tough love with our mob. With our mob. You can't wake up in the morning and decide, I just don't feel like it today, because somewhere on the other side of the world, someone's just paid a couple of $1,000s for an experience in Australia, and we're part of that. And we don't want our reputation as an Aboriginal community in the Warramah Like Aboriginal Land Council to be the only part that makes it onto some feedback channel that says Australia was great, but don't go and see that mob because they let you down. You know, it's that serious. If you're going to be in the game,
it's very refreshing to hear somebody saying that.
Well, if you're going to be in the game, play the game and be a part of the game. Don't. I mean, look, we've got a number of different issues and struggles, like all Aboriginal communities. We all share the same struggles: education, housing, all of those social developments and stuff. But what we refused to do was rely on government handouts, and welfare have done nothing good for our people. It's put them into a false sense of complacency.
Welfare society,
That's right. So this handout, she'll be right on the day, mate, just give it to me and I'll accept it. And we'll go. We decided to take our future in our own hands, and we are generating income beyond the realms of our expectations. And the reality is, if the government, and we all know what's going on with the federal government, with the budget and everything at the moment, if for any reason they decided to pull the pin on the local Aboriginal Land Council system and abolish the legislation, we as a land council, amongst those 119 others, would be able to stand alone on our own enterprises. That's right. We are sustainable within our own right, and that to us is a great, humbling achievement.
And it's a tremendous achievement, you know, because you're not going to be sitting there with your hands out, which is what.
That's right, and we don't, and we will accept it where it's available. We're not going to shoot ourselves in the foot, cut off our nose to spite our face. We just received a $200,000 Heritage Grant application for natural resource management, and that's going to get our elders, our traditional owners, and our knowledge holders out on country with some of our younger generation and start talking about respect. And we're going to find a combined balance of the ecosystem between what are traditional natural resource management values and scientific values. And that project itself is going to be able to it's going to provide 2 Warramah Heritage Ranger jobs. That then, though, can't just die there at that $200,000. This is our thinking. That program is going to enhance our tourist experience by planning through bush tucker medicines and other food resources, etc. But also the extension of it is we're going to do the seed collection. We've got a botanist, an ecologist and an archaeologist. We're going to do tube stock supply in the Warramah Heritage Nursery, and we've put in bids for the mining contracts for the next 30 years.
Oh, wow, okay.
So there's a couple of $1 million generated income if we're successful in that area.
But you know, the key to it, I think that's all absolutely wonderful stuff. The key to it is actually young people seeing that they need to work to progress, okay?
Absolutely.
And working meaningful roles, and that the roles are meaningful not just to them, but to the people that come and visit them. And seeing the tremendous satisfaction that visitors from all over the world get of discovering their land and their history. So it is about modern technology, it's about, you know, the world, it's about the internet, it's everything. It's all about that history and bringing it through to them. So congratulations on such an initiative.
I think one of the hardest things for me to accept is that my elders, and we've got some really beautiful, smart, just encouraging elders that actually suffered the injustices and the oppression as children and watched their parents go through it, were stripped of their rights, and on a Devon sandwich and a few bucks for fuel, went out and fought the fight so that I have the opportunities to empower and improve my life. But our younger generations, they're squandering that. They don't realise the journey that they've gone through. We owe it to them to do something. We need Aboriginal doctors and lawyers and all of those, and we have the ability to do it. But unfortunately, the government with these handout, there needs to be an extension of those things. It needs to be a long-term development and investment, not this short band-aid fixing stuff. It just doesn't.
And it looks like it to me that tourism is the space in terms of what you're doing.
Well, it's one space of about 6 that we've entered into, and our goal is to make them all successful.
Andrew, thank you for your time today. What an enlightening story, what a stimulating and exciting story. I had no idea when I was coming to talk with you about Sand Dune Adventures we'd be talking about this stimulation of Aboriginal communities moving from a welfare society into a meaningful society, young people getting into work, and that coming through into tourism. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you. You're welcome.